What's going on, and welcome back to another gear review and setup. And in this video we're going to be going over the Core Essentials Tactical Everyday Carry belt as well as the Garrison belt. Now these belts are going to cost you roughly around 60 to 70 bucks, and they do come in a couple of different options and setups when it comes down to it. You have your tactical kind of nylon belts. You also have some really nice dress belts that come in a couple of different colors. You have grays, tans, blacks, and a couple of in-betweens. And then you do also have a couple of different buckles that you can choose from and finishes. So if you want to set something up for more dress attire and professional or casual events, you have the ability to set up that. And then if you want to set something up for more of a tactical environment or a garrison environment, you have the ability to set these belts up as well in that capacity. The cool thing with these belts is, one, they come as a universal size. So as you can see, if I rotate this entire thing through, it comes in at pretty much like a 53, 54 inch waist. And then you just cut this down to the exact size of your waistline and set it up, and then you're good to go. In conjunction with that, the cool thing with these guys is they have this internal track locking system. So when this belt goes through the belt buckle, it's going to end up locking in place like so. And then when you try and pull it back, it isn't going to come back. You have to hit this release, and then it slides right off like so. So really, really cool system. I really like these belts. I think they are phenomenal. I love the fact that they're more of a universal setup to where you can set it up exactly the way that you want. Granted, you do lose any type of rigging or rappelling capability with this because of kind of that universal fit size. So if you don't need that rigging or rappelling capability, then by all means I would absolutely go with this system, so that way you have something that is going to be exactly what you need. Now I do know that it does extend beyond kind of your garrison, everyday carry, casual or professional events, and there are guys that are running these belts as competition shooters, so you do have that capability as well. So I just wouldn't load a ton of weight on these things. They do have weight limits to them. If you go beyond that, you do risk breaking your belt. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the everyday carry belt, and then I'll go into the setup of the actual garrison belt, so that way you can see how I've set this up, or kind of loosely based off the instructions, so that way everything is good to go when you have it completely set up. So with that, as you can see here, this is the tactical belt, or their everyday carry belt, and you have your belt buckle right there. This is the X7 buckle, if you're wondering. And then this all comes undone. You have your track system on that side and your belt buckle on this side. Goes together. You can hear it locking into place, and then that's it. Pull on that and you know it's good to go. So I give myself just a little bit of extra slack, a couple of inches, so that way if I'm running holsters, magazine carriers, light carriers, and med, or even if I want to run a dump pouch on this as well, I have the ability to do all of that and know that I'm going to have enough belt length to be able to hold all of those accessories. So when it comes down to it, I mean, these things are really, really simple. There is not a whole lot to them, but I do highly recommend them because I do think they are a phenomenal product. So with that, when you have your belt and it comes out of the box, like I said, you're going to have that full length of belt. And then just make sure you make the measurement or the correct measurements. Measure twice, cut once is a very good rule of thumb when it comes to setting this up. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay for it and buy another belt. So for me, I give myself plenty of extra length. I go all the way to 40 inches, even though I'm sitting at like a 33, 34 inch waist. So I'll cut right at 40. Make sure it's a nice clean cut. And then from there, you can just throw away your extra or excess material. Take a lighter and burn that end, so that way I know that it isn't going to fray over time. Good to go. And then from there, you're going to take your belt buckle, loosen up these screws. That's going to be the last piece or last part when it comes to setting this guy up. And you're going to take this, run it on your belt or run your belt into the system, clamp everything down, get it nice and tight too. Make sure everything is nice and tight, nice and even. Clamp it down, and then from there, just make sure everything still looks straight, and then go in with your screwdriver and tighten those down so that way it locks everything into place and your belt isn't going to go anywhere. There we go. If you want to add a little bit of blue Loctite to this, you absolutely can. A little bit goes a long way. You don't have to coat the whole screw, so if you do want that little bit of extra locking capability, by all means. So that is literally the setup. You cut it, heat it up, make sure that the end is melted down so that way you don't have to worry about it fraying inside of all of that. Close that clamp, screw those in, and then you are good to go. So the Garrison belt is about 1.75 inches. The tactical everyday carry belt is going to be roughly around 1.5 inches. I don't have any issues with holsters that I've ran between the slim fit holsters, the C and G holsters, legacy holsters, or legacy firearms. I had a We the People real briefly. It was real thin. Wasn't a fan of that, but that worked as well. So when it comes to being able to use a lot of different holsters on these belts, they all work very well, whether you do a loop system like these guys, or you have the little clips where you still have that loop, but you can just kind of drop on to your belt. You have that capability as well. I prefer carrying everything at kind of the 3 o'clock when it comes to pistols, or 3 and 9 for pistols and mags. And just to kind of show you how all this slides on, so taking these holsters, a little bit of resistance compared to like the applied ballistics belt that I have, or not applied ballistics, but applied gear. So still slides pretty well when it comes down to it. Not a whole lot of issues with that. And then for your pistol side, this guy's gonna slide through. Definitely a little bit more resistance here. Kind of have to finesse it through when it comes to setting this guy up, just because of the way that this holster is set up. But once you get it through, a lot easier to work with. So there we go. Got that. And then finish pushing that guy through. So you can see that this guy is definitely a little bit more resistant. I still have a little bit of space moving up and down, so that's nice. But when it comes to actually getting this guy to go through, it does want to be a little bit resistant. But I like that just because I know everything's going to sit in place, and then I can just adjust it from there. So with that, I mean, that'll roughly be what it looks like when I have everything set up on my belt. Just for everyday carry. So with that, I do highly recommend it. I think that this track system and the locking system that they have is really, really nice. It is really easy just to hit that release and then everything comes undone. So you don't have to weave things and buckle things or worry about buckles failing. Like, this guy is going to lock in place and it's going to stay there. But you do lose that repelling capability because this is definitely not rated for any of that. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll answer any questions that you have when it comes to these belts and the setup of them. And if you have any questions on the buckles or whatnot, or how to find that information, we'll leave all of the information in the description below with all the links, so that way you can have that quick reference straight to their website. And with that, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.